Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 957. Tonight, going to talk about installing a 2014 version of tax software. Going to tell you what happened there. OpenVPN, running into an issue, and I have to reissue the config file for two separate clients. Going through a client security audit. I am so happy. It's been every Friday for 2 hours, and they canceled for tomorrow, and I'm really glad. And then a stack of listener email. I have a little show and tell. I have a couple things that I did last night and I want to show you. And just very surprised. But yeah, before we get started, I have to talk about something that I think is very important. And if you do any consulting or client support, you listen up. Instant House Call. You know, I've been talking about their incredible 1-year deal. But what do you do year 2, year 3? Well, a hidden gem that I like, that I use all the time, is what they call sub-accounts. That's where you can create a sub-account for a client free and give them access to a system where you have unattended access already. And guess what? You can charge whatever you want because to you it's free. So let's say you charge $100 for the year, even more than a year. It's still, if you have 5 clients remotely, you more than paid. You already made money and you paid for the licensing. It pays for itself and generates revenue, not only giving you everything that you need for remote control, being a professional IT support. There's nothing like it. Nothing compares, and especially with that free sub-accounts. And it's something I never talk about. And I had to create 3 of them this week. And I'm like, that's it. I got to make sure everybody understands that because it's a way for you to make money. So it's win-win-win. So check them out. Go to MikeTechShow.com and click on the Instant House Call deal. Follow the instructions. Sign up for an incredible price for the first year. And then it's not bad after that. Think about this. If you get 5 clients and they're going to renew every year, you've paid for Instant House Call. And then you get all of the additional benefits. So this week, actually Wednesday, was it Wednesday? Might have been. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. The week is just blending all together right now. Wolters Kluwer, Kluwer. They're the tax prep software, CCH. Well, one of my CPA clients, they have to do a 2014 return. Well, we don't go back that far on the server for the software. We don't have the software, but they pay, an incredible price for support. And I was challenged with trying to get this, going. I was like, I can't get the software. I can't do it. I said, just call them and beg. Well, they sent a link to install it, but it had to be on a desktop that has never had their software, or you have to uninstall it all. Now, I had a spare refurb desktop running Windows 11 Pro, and nothing, it's been sitting around waiting for a good home. And I said, I have a system that I'll put the software on, and, I'll make sure all the updates are done. So they sent me the email with the links and the instructions on installing it, and I got it installed in like just a few minutes, and then had my son take it over and get it connected, and they're good. Now I got to go through their, anybody who's familiar with their Pro System FX engagement, I have to do a massive upgrade. And that means the server, all the workstations. So I have 3 different emails of instructions I got to go through and get that done. And now since that audit meetings got canceled tomorrow, that's when I'll probably do that. Or my roofing guy coming because, yes, with the storms today, more leaking in the office here. Now, I had a new roof put on here a couple years ago, And since then, every time it rains, it doesn't go through the actual roof. The water goes through this room that I'm in. Was the outside of the house years and years ago before I ever thought of buying this. And it's attached. And it's that attachment and the roof, and it's where it attaches to the house. It's that line that leaks. So behind me, and I have the lights off because it's all tarped back there because water was leaking. And they're coming out tomorrow at 10 a.m. This will be their third time out because I've had this happen before. So just dealing with everything as it comes at me. So let's get back to everything here. So something else I've been running into, open VPN issues, where they no longer can connect with the client. I have three clients that are using the open VPN connecting to an Arista, formerly Untangle, box. And OpenVPN supports really, really nice. Well, it just spins and spins. It doesn't connect. And this happened with a client in Delaware and now a Pennsylvania client where I have to regenerate the config file. That's a pain in the neck. And this also happens to be another CPA firm. So this week I've been remotely logging in to the firewall and going to where the user is and downloading the new update. I got to compare. And there's an IP address change somewheres that happened out of my control because that's what I believe is happening here. And so once I remote in and change the, put the config file and then import it, everything works great. So at least it's an easy fix and I know it. So that's cool. I have here audit policies and security review. So I have a client that does work for banks. And one of the banks is going through an audit. And I am a key person because I helped with a lot of the security policies and everything. And we're doing pretty good. It's been a couple weeks and I am very, very happy so far, in everything, that we say we do, and I can prove we do, which is important. So going through the audit, pretty good, but really glad that I don't have that tomorrow. It's like every Friday, my life between 10 to 12 is a Teams meeting that, just, all right. So last night I had some time, which is very rare commodity of having time. And I have my Surface Pro, which is the Surface Pro 4, which is older, but mint condition because I barely use it. And it's not compatible running Windows 11. So I'm like, that's it. I am going to do this once and for all and generate my Windows 11, eating my own dog food, talking about the program that I talked about, and I learned a couple things. So let me show you what I did last night, and this is the SysQt WinBootMe that I talked about. And you can see everything set up, and all you have to do is browse the ISO image. You put it in, then you can pick, create a bootable USB, and I had a USB in. And then this is the key. Bypass Windows 11 Secure Boot, TPM, and CPU. This is where everything gets stopped when you can't run Windows 11. And then you go FAT32. You could put like Windows 11 or something there and click Burn. Well, first time I clicked Burn, it came up and it wants $29.99. And I'm like, okay, it's worth it because I really need a USB that bypasses everything for myself. Am I going to do it for a client? No, but I'm going to give you a couple conditions that I've discovered, and why I'm doing this is working with a client this week. They want to take some of their old systems and as an emergency spare for the shop floor, have it available for when they're going to be then ordering a new computer. So in that case, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll do it, And so you start to slide on what your, what your standards are. You start to make decisions. Sorry about that. There we go. My mouse was slipping. So once I purchased it, 10, 15 minutes, I had an incredible boot that once I booted up with the USB bypassing, it was a piece of cake. It's Windows 11 installed beautiful and is running perfectly and all the updates. But remember I said a little show and tell? Here's what I want to show you. So the Surface Pro, everybody knows, it has a pen, right? And for my Surface Pro, one of the things that I love is this flat mouse that when you bend it, it then pairs. It's Bluetooth. It's a great Microsoft Bluetooth mouse. Well, this has 2 batteries, and the pen has a battery. Now, I couldn't pair the pen. And I'm like, I don't know why. I barely use the pen. How come I can't pair it? Well, I find out it needs a new battery. So what battery is in it? I kid you not, and that's why I got to show you. It's a quadruple A battery. 4 A's, not 3. It is smaller than a triple A. And that's what's inside the pen, and it's also what's inside. 2 of them are inside the mouse. And I was like, wow, I've never dealt with quadruple A batteries, so I bought a pack, and as a matter of fact, it's running late. It was supposed to be here today from Amazon, and now they pushed it to like 10 p.m. So I ordered a pack of batteries, quadruple A. I don't know. I figured I got to mention that because I don't know if anybody's seen them before. I guess you have if you worked with, intricate things like the pen. I like the recharging pen or pencil that I have with my my iPad Pro, and that just recharges itself. So it sits at the top, and it'll automatically recharge. So I wanted to mention that. I'm going to make a couple sticks. Now, with the pricing with that WinBoot Me, for $29.99, you get it for a license for one system. But that's all you need, because my test system behind me, that's what I'll use for getting the what do you call it? Getting all those USB sticks done, and that's a perfect machine for that. I use it for test, and when I have issues with my main computer, I can just flip around and it's right there. So I'm going to target a couple computers that I'm going to, especially for personal use, because I don't mind if something goes wrong, but definitely worth it. And especially if you're confident that the hardware really can do it, where the Surface Pro only has 8 gigs of RAM. That's the only limitation. It's a nice Core i5. It's got a 256, gig SSD in there, an NVMe drive. I would have liked more memory, but you know what? For the little use that I have for it and what I'm doing, it's running great. So I just wanted to pass along that I've done it, and I give a thumbs up. Yes, you have to pay, and I know there are free ways for you to build that easy, but let me tell you, if I can save the time and just click a couple buttons and it does it, then certainly that's the way I'm going to go. And I just wanted to share that. So now I want to get the emails because I have a stack. And the first one is Larry. And he asks a great question here of me that I don't have the exact answer, but I have a link that I'm going to put in the show notes kind of in response to this. And I'll review that. So Larry's like, hi, Mike. I've been seeing more discussion on the subject of passkeys lately. And I'm wondering what your current thinking is on the subject. Has anything changed or gotten better from your perspective with regard to website passkey adoption implementation? I am not on top of this, and that's why I found an article that's going to be interesting about phishing and how, no matter what we do, if someone really wants to attack and be in the middle, they're going to get anything. If they and that's unfortunate. He continues, I've also noticed that the password managers are beginning to beta test passkeys. That appears to be a good sign. But based on what I've gleaned from some of the online chatter, it also seems server-side passkey adoption has issues of a proprietary nature. You got to do it my way kind of thing. No standard in place to ensure maximum security. Whether or not this is true, I have no idea. It's just what I've read. Now, I'm slowing down in my almost 82 years on the planet. You know what, Larry? God bless you. 82. I'm 64. So it's great that you're into this. May you be emailing me for many, many more years to come. But as I understand the fundamental concept of passkeys, they work like your lockbox at the bank. You have one key, the bank has the other, and you need both to access the box. And as I also understand, you need separate passkeys for each platform device. You want to use for access, one for your PC, a different one for your phone, for your tablet, laptop, and so on. Is the future passkey objective to enable the use of a single passkey across all platforms, just as we use logins and passwords today across all our devices? I don't know, but I certainly hope so. But then again, the more we share that across platforms, the riskier it gets, depending on how that's going to get implemented. If I'm way off here, please enlighten me. No, you are very on target. I haven't begun using passkeys yet because, one, I'm not convinced that the websites are using a standard to implement them. And two, I'm not sure if websites provide a way of deleting your old username and password once you've made the change. MTS is a great show, and I listen often. The problem is that much of the tech goes over my head at my age. I don't think so, but I know you say it, but and nothing sticks anymore. I've been messing around with PCs since about 1983, starting with MS-DOS and a cutting-edge GUI at the time known as GeoWorks. And yes, I am familiar with that. He asked, remember that one? Yes, I do. It preceded Windows, and somewhere in storage, I have an Apple II Plus. Larry, that could be worth some bucks. You might want to resurrect that. An original Apple II Plus could be worth something, actually. We've come full circle on that. I wish I had my original TI-99 4A. It'd be worth some money. He continues, now that makes me feel old, but wait, I am old. Thanks, Mike. Best regards and keep up the good work. Larry, I have a link to a website and an article by Bleeping Computer. How hackers are still phishing-resistant authentication, and they deal with passkeys. They deal with MFA. It's a frightening little article that I'm going to copy it and put it into the show notes for everybody, but it's going to be in the chat. I'm also going to have that in the show notes. And what's amazing is when I read your email, Larry, this article dropped the same day. So that's when I was like, ooh, wow. Okay, let me put this in. The constant phishing. And it's just, it's all about the verification and how it's done. and how it's implemented. And however, here's my take without going into any technical details whatsoever. Whatever we do, whatever we come up with, there's going to be a genius bad guy that's going to find a way around it to intercept it. Whether it's the use and combination of social engineering, which here's something that, it sounds easy to obey, but if I'm trying to break into your account and I'm asked for a code and you accidentally get a code, well, if you get a phone call and someone's asking for that code, guess what? That's the bad guy possibly, or someone representing the bad guy. There are ways. That's why when you get a code, a lot of the description around that is, do not share this code with anyone, because it's that social engineering aspect that's going to take this. Now, what if, send a verification email. Well, if your email's compromised, guess what? Bad guy is going to get that authentication code. Push authentication. I can't talk about all the details, but I know of a company that got compromised really bad where they were monitoring 2 email accounts and they redirected a wire transfer. And that's very common because they go after, follow the money. They go after the big money. And so that's why I have to have special security and procedures in place for title insurance companies, real estate agents, who are dealing with that final wire transfer payment possibly. And there's, that's an industry that gets hit hard. And a lot of them is paying big invoices, and unfortunately it's there because if the money's available, then there's going to be bad guys trying to infiltrate. So I don't know where the answer lies, but this is definitely good information and more things that will further the discussion on security and verification, and certainly the phishing that happens in ways you couldn't even dream of. And when you read this, it's definitely an eye-opener. So, Larry, thank you so much for your email. This is a Copilot tip from Hilton. Hi, Mike. Just heard the last show where you showed how to disable Copilot in Office apps. Just wanted to share a brief consideration. I'm in a Copilot pilot group at work on my Microsoft 365, and one of my users realized that spell check no longer exists in the new Outlook. I did research and found out Microsoft removed it because you're supposed to use Copilot to check spelling and grammar now. Really? When were they going to tell us that? I'm thinking it could be on their roadmap to do that to the other Office apps as well. I certainly hope not, Hilton. He continues, I'm not for sure, but just something to consider. I did have a question for you about viruses. Are you finding a lot of them these days? The other week you were talking about the bleeping computer, and I started thinking, I can't remember the last time I saw a user have an actual infection. It's really malware, not so much a virus. Ever since things started going to UEFI and cloud-based antivirus, all we have seen is browser-based fake alerts. It would be interesting to see if other shops are experiencing the same thing. That's a very good question, and I would love to do a show on that. Send me emails of your experience. We're seeing slowdowns of a lot of malware, and a pure virus infection, you're right. I haven't seen that in a long time. But hey, I know ransomware. Matter of fact, there's a car dealership, they're not a client, got hit with ransomware a month ago and took out all their computers. And we're talking a pretty big company, pretty big car dealer. So there's that aspect that I call an infection also. All of the attacks, I kind of use the word infection to kind of cover it all. But specific viruses, yeah, you're right. I haven't seen that. But I'd love to hear from everybody from, email me, MikeTechShow@gmail.com. And love to know what you're running into, what you're seeing. And he finishes, keep up the good work. You're one of only 2 podcasts I still follow. Thanks, Hilton. I really appreciate that. Okay. On to the double periods from my listener, Bob, and how Kate responded. And I read that last week, and I sent that info. Well, he listened to that info and did the following, which led to the solution. Hi, Mike. I had already tried another keyboard, and it still didn't fix it. But Kate got me pointed in the right direction. When I checked my settings, I only had one keyboard listed, which was the US Quarterly keyboard. And he has some screenshots. So I added the United States International keyboard and then deleted the US Quarterly keyboard, and the problem appeared to go away. I tested it in Word and Outlook, and it was working. So I tried it at the command prompt and also in PowerShell, and it worked there too. And he gives me all the screenshots, and he's like, so thanks, Mike. And if you would also pass my thanks along to Kate, because the issue was driving me crazy. This is why I've been listening to you for so many years. If any of us have a problem and you don't have the solution, you put it out there for your listeners to weigh in on. And the majority of the time, the issue gets resolved. Bob, you are so right. He's like, take care and thanks again. And I did forward that. And I love Kate's response. And it was, well, it takes a village. And neither Taz nor I had the exact solution, but we certainly had it bracketed. Bob is right. That's why we all listen to the Mike Tech Show. I can't ask for more than that. That is why I do this show. And I've always said, you have a problem, write it in. I'm going to do what I can to solve it. If I know the answer right away, you might see an email come right back at you. If I don't, I'll look it up. If I can't, if I don't have the time, then I'll put it out there. Just like I put client problems that I have. And someone always comes through that's listening, that has a solution. And I'm the conduit for problems and solutions. And I love it. It's why 21 years and I'm still banging away at this, because I enjoy it so much. And thank you so much for listening and watching the show and following and participating by email. And I love it. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And that is it for tonight's show. Don't forget, you can click on YouTube and go to the YouTube videos, Michael Smith MTS, and click subscribe while you're there. I really appreciate it. Everything is always at the main website, MikeTechShow.com. And don't forget Instant House Call, where it can easily pay for itself and generate revenue besides helping you. That's the perfect solution. That's it. Talk to everybody next week. Have everybody be safe. Bye-bye.